Putting Makeup on the Fat Boy by Bild. Chapter 28. Tuesday morning, I wanted to wake up any place other than New York City, with a different name, different everything. Maybe it's because everything I wanted Carla Stuarted to be was going to be ruined, with Feature Face Cosmetics firing me for stealing. I wanted to think about what a success I'd had last night. Everything with Charlena had been beyond brilliant, even though it had gotten off to a rocky start. For the next 10 years, I wanted to work with her on smoking Friday nights, and whatever else she wanted me to do. The feeling was incredible. I hadn't even graduated high school, and I had done Charlena Day's makeup on a super popular TV show. And the reality was, I couldn't tell my mother because she wouldn't be interested. Because my sister was getting beaten up by her boyfriend, and all Ma could think about was murdering him. And I couldn't really consider it a success anyway, because I'd used makeup I'd stolen from the company, even though I didn't consider it stealing when I did it. And now I was going to get fired, and I'd probably never get work in the makeup industry again. Nobody hires thieves, especially in department stores. Of course, there was the fantasy that Charlena would hire me, but I was a high school student. How could she convince the producers of Smokin' Friday Nights to hire a kid who wasn't out of high school? No, my one night of fame and glamour was over. I dragged myself to school. Angie knew from a glance that I had lots to fill her in on, but I couldn't even begin. With Angie and me, it's either all the details or nothing. I told her. I can't even begin to talk about it. All I can ask you is, if I was put in jail, would you come and visit? She said, with a carrot cake every weekend. Then we kissed each other's cheeks and hugged. She whined, "Carlos!" But I said, "I told you, don't ask." I went to my locker and there was a note stuck in it. I opened it and read, "Hey, Carlos, don't forget we're supposed to meet. How about Tompkins Square Park? I'll give you a call, Glees." I don't know how I did it, but I had forgotten. Believe it or not, the last thing I wanted to do was meet Gleason Craft. Today was not the day. I felt like I was at a funeral for my life. At the end of the day, when I was in my last class, I got a call from him that I couldn't answer. When I got out of class, I saw that I had a voicemail. "Hey, this is Glees. I'll meet you in the park at the big circle after school at 4. If you can't come, it's okay, but it's kind of important." Wonderful. What was with this Glees all of a sudden, and how could I not show up if he said it was important? As soon as I got inside the park, I saw Gleason from a distance. Considering it was winter, it was really warm, and there he was in a short leather jacket and bright red tight corduroy jeans. If I wasn't so depressed, I would have probably been more excited about just looking at him sitting there. He waved to me as though he'd been waiting. "Hey, Glees," I called, half teasing. I had to ask him what was up with that. It was obnoxious sounding. "Thanks for coming," he said, and gave me this big hug. He kind of bounced up and down in place like a marionette, and then he landed on the bench. "What's so important?" I asked, sitting down beside him. Not as close as I used to imagine sitting next to him one day, but there we were. Gleason looked down at his black and red kids. "You know how I was so excited for you to come to my opening?" Well, he'd seemed excited about having a show, and then he ditched me and Angie to hang out at the bar with Cranberry Head and gave her my roses. But I said simply, "I remember that you were excited to have a show, and who wouldn't be?" "No, Carlos, I was excited because we'd worked on those photographs together, and now they were huge, and they were hanging in the gallery, and I wanted to share it with you. Maybe it was because of the whole Valentino thing, I don't know, but Gleason Craft was not having the same effect on me today that he usually had. No, Gleason, I didn't really get all that. I was glad to be invited, though. Then I did something way out of character for me. I said to him, Gleason, you said this was important, so I'm here. But I have some stuff on my mind that's really upsetting and important. So, do you want to tell me what you wanted to talk about? I could see he was surprised. I didn't mean to be rude at all, but I was being selfish. I needed to think, or I needed to call Charlena and ask her if she'd had a chance to speak to Valentino. But I definitely didn't need to be sitting on a park bench with Gleason, chatting about his opening, which had already happened, and which he'd pretty much ignored me at. I'm sorry you're upset about something. Is there anything I can do? No, I told him, and I don't want you to think you can't talk to me about whatever it is. I guess I'm kind of stalling because I know how stupid this is going to sound. I was talking to Gabrielle. You remember her, right? Yeah, Gleason. I couldn't possibly forget Gabs. I didn't mean to sound so snarky, but I wanted him to get whatever it was out already. Well, she was saying how she thought maybe I should have a talk with you. I stared at him for a second. Yeah? About what? I've told her a lot about you. It was like reading a mystery and wanting to skip to where you find out who the killer is. You have? That's interesting. And? So she knows how talented I think you are and how much I owe you for asking me to do the model pictures in the first place. No, Gleason, you don't owe me anything. You took great pictures and you got a show from them. The show part had nothing to do with me. Okay, but I'm still grateful. And then we sat there. But with him looking at the ground and me knowing he didn't make an appointment to tell me again that he was thankful I'd asked him to take some pictures. Gleason, what did Gabs think you should talk to me about? Gleason scrunched his whole body up like it had suddenly gotten colder when it hadn't. She said she could tell from the way you were around me and the roses and the camera necklace thing that you probably had a crush on me and that if I wanted us to have a real friendship, I should probably speak to you and get it out in the open so you wouldn't be hurt. The camera necklace thing? I may be sick, I said quietly. I didn't feel the least bit sick. What I felt was embarrassed and furious with myself, Gleason, and the lovely Gabs, but I didn't want to show it or say it. Why? Gleason was the one who looked like he was about to heave. I'm so sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything, but she kept asking me if I'd talked to you yet. She said I owed it to you as a friend. That was very kind of her, Gleason. Very considerate. I wanted to jump and run, but I knew if I didn't fix things now with him, it would be harder, much harder later on. She always teases me and says how people probably think I'm gay. She calls me Gleason gay bait. She says I'm the kind of guy, a gay guy, guys always fall for. That's hysterical, I said, thinking it was way past time for me to be rid of him. Gay bait. Really, Gleason? Aren't you even embarrassed to repeat that? I know it's stupid, but remember, she says it, not me. Gleason, it's late, and I have some important things to take care of. But before I leave, and my voice was shaking because I was about to tell a very big lie. I want you to know that I don't now, and I never did have a crush on you. I didn't fall for you like your girlfriend thought. I asked you to take some pictures. You did. They were good for you and they were good for me. I guess I made a big mistake by trying to show my appreciation. But in this case, Gaps's instincts are all wrong. I never thought about you as anything other than a kid in my school who takes excellent photographs. I got up dramatically from the bench, hoping like crazy that Gleason felt as foolish as I did. He jumped up also. I'm sorry if I said something wrong. I thought Gabs is crazy, but then she kept bringing it up. Then maybe Gabs has the problem, I told him, smiling. Now, of course, Gleason looked like I'd hurt his feelings by denying I had a crush on him. Make up your mind, Guy. Is there anything I can do to help you with whatever you're upset about? He asked. No, I should just go now, that's all. I'll walk with you. Is that all right? Sure, thanks. What I was telling myself was, this was surreal. But another voice inside me answered, no, Carlos, it was too real. Gleason and I were almost at the park entrance when I saw him. Part of me wanted to turn around and go somewhere until I could figure out exactly what to do. And part of me wanted to run up to him before he realized what was going on and start punching him as hard as I could. But I didn't do either. When Danny and his slimy friend from Burrito Takeout Village looked up at me from their bench with smirks on their faces, everything stopped. And for a second, I didn't see anything but them. I didn't hear anything. I felt like I was totally alone. There they were, and I knew I had to do something that would somehow make a difference.